Hey guys, welcome. Tonight, we're going to be messing around with some vintage synths and this glorious Lexicon Model 300 from 1989. So this might be the most forgotten reverb unit of the 80s, at least compared to how it sounds. So if you're not familiar with this unit, and I certainly wasn't until recently, it's basically half of a 480L. So if you're familiar with the Lexicon bestiary, then you'll know, of course, the 224 is the famous one that Vangelis used on the Blade Runner soundtrack. But then really, I think the most popular one maybe could be the 480L. Chris Lord-Alge has one. They're very coveted instruments for sure. If you want to call reverb an instrument, I think it is. And so that came out kind of mid 80s, and then right towards the end of the 80s, so this was 1989. Hey Damien, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it, man. How you doing? Well, you know what, can I get a scum cheers in the chat right now for my boy Damien? So I'm gonna bust this motherfucker over here. Yes, can I get a scum cheers in the chat? Cheers, guys. So yeah, the thing about the 480L is you have stereo inputs, but you actually have 4 outputs, and there's different ways you could use it. You could run one reverb into another, and Strymon's MX, which came out very recently, you could do the same thing, and they were bragging about that like they were the first to do it, but really Lexicon did that in the 80s. And so I think there was a reality that the 480L was very expensive. And so Lexicon thought, okay, you know what? Maybe a lot of people just want to use it as a single reverb instead of, say, you could run one stereo in and set up 2 different reverbs, maybe a really big hall and then maybe a tighter vocal plate or something like that. So you could feed it what you wanted, context dependent. And I think a lot of people were okay with less than that. So they ported over the 480L algorithms into the 300. So considering the 480Ls go for like $5,000-$6,000, and you can get the 300s for a lot less than that, maybe a third of that or less sometimes. I think that considering, I know if I was setting up a 480L, I would probably just basically, use it one instance of it, right? I wouldn't really be using the dual reverb feature most of the time. And it's got that famous Lexicon random hall sound, which is not the same as the way the chorusing is on the 224, but very famous. And, Lexicon's just known for making the best reverbs in the world, especially back then. So I think enough talking. The way we're going to do this stream tonight is first we're going to kind of really focus on the reverb here, and we're going to create basically the type of reverb sound you heard in the beginning. Then we'll actually swap back over to the vintage synths. Yes, and that's right, Mark. That's a RE501 tape echo, chorus echo, really incredible unit as well. And so then what we'll do is go back to the vintage synths once we have our, big Vangelis reverb Blade Runner hall set up, and we'll actually make some music. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to solo my voice real quick and the reverb. So if I'm doing this correctly, what we should hear, let me go ahead and mute this and unmute that. And now we should be able to hear just the reverb. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see how this sounds. There we go. So I'm going to play, and we're hearing just the wet signal of the reverb. And then what I'm going to do is turn this down a little bit so you can hear my voice. How's that sound as far as the balance of reverb to my voice? If you need a little more of either, let me know. maybe I'll turn it down just slightly. There we go. Something like that. You guys let me know. Alex P15 is one that I've been interested in, Spirit Groove. So I'm going to go to setup and, what is it? Select setup, and I'm going to just change this to large hall. So Lexicon definitely knew that they needed to start with a big, large hall. And, you know, really when you listen to this, you can immediately tell this is, you know, it's that Lexicon sound right out of the gate. And it's the same algorithm from the 480L, which people pay a lot of money for. So we've got the synths behind me are currently playing this unit. So one thing is, in the 90s, they actually released a version of this with a lark. So it doesn't have the front panel controls, and actually you can hook up a lark like a 480L or a 224XL to be able to control it. But the menu interface is pretty easy. So we go to Effect Edit here, and I'm going to go to page 1, and we'll just go through everything real quick. Kind of in the order that they say. Hey, what's up, Keith? Synth Cat. Oh, we got Gingy the Synth Cat. I believe that's you. Fucking YouTube names change a lot, how they show it. We got Derek here. We got so many of the awesome people. I can't even get close there to all of the awesome people. Oh, Synthsonic, the DP4 is another unit I really want to check out. So we're going to start with size, actually. So if you just double touch that, you'll see room size, and it says a number of meters, which is kind of funny. What's interesting about room size is that, if I'm correct, in a way, it's kind of like the size of the delay lines, the length of the delay lines. So there's kind of a relationship with pre-delay with room size and shape. So we're going to, you know, keep that in mind while we're messing around here. I'm going to change this loop a little bit so we have a little more variety. Maybe we'll do it this way. Yeah. There we go. And so when we go to size, let's just max that out, right? But maybe you guys want to hear what it sounds like a little tight. So going back to this section. So, you know, even though we're using that Hall algorithm, definitely sounds like more of a small room to an extent, right? Charles Maines, yeah, it's fucking amazing. I'm a very lucky guy. So let's increase this all the way. The reason I'm starting with size is it's actually just what the manual recommends. That's probably, pick a preset you like and then go to the size. Next, if we check out pre-delay here, you'll notice on this preset there's no pre-delay, but we could add it. You won't really hear a difference unless we're listening to the synths as well, but it just adds a delay before the reverb. I actually kind of like 100 milliseconds a lot of the time. Going to time here, you'll see we're at 2.6 seconds. Let's crank that the hell up. We can actually go all the way to 64.17 seconds. Dr. Manny Fernandez, welcome. So many awesome people here. I'm sorry if I haven't shouted you out. I'm just looking over at the chat intermittently. So this is how we can get into that insane, almost infinite. Wow. Now, I like the grain, but you might want it to be even clearer. So we have the high frequency roll-off. Right now it's at 900 kilohertz, which is, or 900 hertz, which is not true. So one thing you need to know is that the Lexicon unit's gonna lie to you. It's gonna fucking lie. This is not, it would be very muted if it was like that. Wow, you could just hear that beautiful sound. So let's bring that all the way up so we can hear, you know, we could bring it to flat. this was 1989, and this actually has better converters in it than the 480L. So it's like half a 480L. People will say it doesn't sound the same as the 480L. I'm sure it probably doesn't. There's some hardware differences, even if they use the same algorithms. But the converters, I think, are 20-bit or so. We're really approaching, like, we're better than CD quality audio at this point, which, I mean, listen to this high end for the 80s, 89, 36 years ago. Wow. Pretty hypnotic, right? But I like the sound of those gritty, you know, the 224. So I'm actually going to bring it really low. Because, so I'm bringing it down to like maybe even 0.6. Again, this is a lie. 600 hertz would just be like mud. You wouldn't be enjoying the sound of it at all. There's still plenty of high end going through there. And I believe this is the high pass filter. I'm sorry, the high cut filter, low pass filter of this. So we pre-delay, size, time we've covered, 64 seconds. I'm going to bring it back to 31.83. In my experience or experiments setting up the intro, this was a good middle ground between, you know, it still has that giant Vangelis, lush, huge Lexicon thing, but it's not ridiculous. I'm going to pull in the synth real quick here just so you can hear. Just so you can kind of hear the difference, because you can lose perspective. So one of the things is, if you listen to Blade Runner Blues, at least the album version, I don't know, throw on the movie. This is one of those things, like, the album version's clearly different than the movie version. I don't know which Vangelis mixed himself or what. The soundtrack version came out like 11 years after the movie, but at least if you listen to the soundtrack version, you'll notice that the 224 is very dark compared to that very bright, honestly, CS80. At the time, the CS80 was thought of as the brightest analog synth, I think would be accurate to say. Okay. Reverb level, channels all the way up. There's examples of when you're using cascade mode where you're moving from one reverb into another, where you might like want to not have it be that way. Treble decay, so that's kind of bringing out that the decay is happening at 3.6 kilohertz. We have a bass multiply. So 1.2 to me already really is in the neighborhood. We could go thinner with it. So let's just hear how that sounds real quick. And I actually had a high pass filter going in here, so I'm going to disable that real quick. So I had a high pass filter at 200 going in. But I want you to be able to hear the bass, especially as the Matrix 12 comes in. And then we'll bring the bass multiply up. Let's bring it up to 4. Yeah, let's see what that's like. Cheers, guys. If we go to 0.2, gets kind of angelic, right? I really liked 1.2 for whatever reason. But I'm going to put that high cut back in. So that's with the low cut filter in, sorry. Cheers, guys. Pretty incredible. Going back, we have the crossover for the bass. You'll notice it's at 200 hertz. Let's go to the second page. So we have spin and wander. These are the modulation. And let's go to wander first and turn it all the way off. We can actually go to microseconds. And then for this example, I'm going to go to the size or the time. Let's go and bring the time kind of tight. So just like 1 second here. That'll help you be able to hear the spin more. So we're starting with 38 units. Let's crank it all the way up. So we're starting to get that warbly. It's really fast warble too, interestingly. And, you know, let's bring in the CS, let's bring in the CS70. That's out of the 70. Here we go. Let's try this out. Oh, should be heard. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it is like a... It is like a Leslie, isn't it, Lonnie? So, it's a little too much, but let's go to Wander. It's currently at 0 microseconds. Let's increase that all the way. And you'll notice now we're getting much more of a smooth chorusing. Yeah, it is deep. So for me, I actually kind of like it with maybe a little less of that, of the spin. And one difference between the 480 and the 224 is you really needed the chorusing in the 224 to stop it from being metallic. But if we bring spin all the way out, check this out. With spin all the way out, Wander does nothing, I think. It actually still sounds really good. Oh, I'm surprised. Gingy, the Quadriverb I think is a really cool unit. I wanted to check it out. But see, even with the modulation off, it actually sounds pretty good. Let's go and increase the time again. Now that we have some of that, let's go ahead and crank it up. See if it gets metallic. So it's not perfect. You know, it's not, but it's damn good for, yeah, it's damn good. Let's increase the roll-off and see if we get some metal. Yeah, I can hear a little metallicness in there, but it's surprisingly not. It's surprisingly not metallic, considering there's no modulation. Let's bring in the spin, though. Oh, then it's just heaven. Like it with the 1.2. Let's see, a little more spin. I think I am you're reading this wrong. I think after, if you're thinking of buying one of these, now's the time because this video is happening. Wow, it sounds so good. So we have shape. Shape's interesting. So this also kind of has a relationship like pre-delay. So if I turn it from 120 all the way down to, what, 0, you'll notice the difference of the sound. Very fast. Let's take it all the other way. See how far we can push it. So now it's like a bloom. The bloom from the Reverb 2, speaking of Alesis units. And again, I'm going to bring in the CS70M so you can hear how far behind it is. So you can hear it's almost like a pre-delay. But if you're doing that shoegaze thing, there it is. You know, turn your, and I'm sure the 480L's got the same thing, so you can turn it into that. Then we got spread, we got diffusion. You know, this is a little complex, even reading the manual, trying to understand how best to explain this. So I'm not even gonna. Let's turn it all the way off. All the way up. If I understand the manual correctly, it's controlling the amount, not of diffusion, but of early echoes. I'm not sure that's the case, but it could be the case. So don't, you know, whatever. Link just links everything together. Size, time, spread, keeps them linked, so as you move one, everything's different. Shelf can change the filter into a 6 decibel here shelf as opposed to a filter. And then we have size again. Then there's more stuff. I mean, there's a lot here. But we don't really need to worry about that because we've created, I think, we've created a very good preset. Now, yeah, I think the thing you're reading this wrong is that without the remote, we're, you know, I would love to have the Lark. Oh my God, it would be amazing. But they're like $1,000 at least. So it's the cost of the unit, basically. And for me, it's like, I'm going to set up this preset and use this unit for that. I might come up with a few more, like for drums, a drum plate, vocal plate. Sounds cool. But really, it's okay. I'm going to use it for what you're hearing now. Let's go through. We need to hear the magic, okay? So I'm going to actually turn off the reverb real quick. So I'm using RIA insert. What that does is it lets you patch something out and into Reaper, but with it's sample accurate. So you can make it so there's no phase issues. I'm going to turn it off. So now you're just going to hear the synths. What's being sent. And of course we got the high pass, the high pass low cut filter. So you can hear it's just taking out some of the low end because it's just such a massive sounding reverb. But here's the real secret, guys. Tal DAC. So you get this for free from Tal. They do Togu audio line. They do so many of the best synth recreations. But Tal Sampler actually comes with this for free, or you can purchase it. And I purchased it back in the day before I bought Tal Sampler. Cal didn't give them to me for free, by the way. I think they're just great. But the thing is the 224 has those crunchy converters. There are 12-bit converters, and they only went up to about 20 kilohertz sample rate, which means about 10 hertz of actual bandwidth. So let's check out how this changes the sound when we kick this on. So this is on the EMU 2 setting, emulator 2, but I brought the sample rate down to 20,000 hertz because that's where it's at. And then 12-bit scale, I don't know if this should be brought down too. You could take it too far, right? I think it's okay just to bring it down to about 20,000. So again, the difference, no filter, no DAC plugin. I'd love to be able to do this with hardware, but let's kick it on. Now I'm going to leave it off. Let's bring in, now we're listening to the Lexicon 300 again, but let's kick on the DAC plugin, and oh my god. It just turns into a 224. Cheers, guys. Next, we've got, let's go to Wider. So what is Wider? It's a free plugin from Polyverse Music, my friends over at Polyverse. Let's just kick this on. And the thing that's great about Wider is if we put it into mono, the whole mix, let me just do this real quick. So I'm going to pop the entire thing into mono. We can do that in Reaper. So that's how the reverb sounds in mono. I'm going to turn the plugin on. I'm going to let you hear it. Slight volume difference, but no phase issues. I'm going to bring it back down. Let's take the whole mix out of mono. And then let's kick on Wider. Yeah, there we go. So without it. With it. Subtle. But just opens it up even a little wider. Next, what I did was I took the mix. And what I did is I turned the reverb up too loud. So this is a trick you could do. Why am I doing this? Why am I turning the reverb up too loud? Well, what it does is it illuminates to me where there's some issues with how it's building up, because it's a massive fucking reverb. So it's a good idea to actually EQ your verbs. So the first move I made was a 300 cut. So we'll just check it out. So then I made a cut at 500, and then I shelved out just a little bit more of the low end, another 3 decibels. So this is our overall shape right here. Really not touching 1K and up. I like the sound of the converter. I don't need to boost it. You could put some air near 10K if you wanted, especially because it's vintage. But I like the vintage sound, and I don't need too much buildup. So what we're going to do is I'm going to solo my voice in the reverb. And then I'm going to take the EQ out, and this is how it sounds. let's put the EQ in. Let's put the EQ in real quick. So that just cleans up that kind of, now it's just beautiful, right? And yes, Carl's right. You could also EQ your synths. For me, I just do it with the, I do want to try liminal spaces, your reverb plugin. I haven't checked it out yet, Keith. I've been a bad friend. I apologize. In this case, Carl, I'm just doing a high cut of 200 to the unit because we don't even need to give it that. And then I'm going to let the unit do what it wants to do. And then the EQ for me is just about fitting it into the mix, which is why we're using relatively narrow cuts. 6 decibels is as extreme as I'll go. Just in that kind of mid-range, the muddy frequency that you talk about, Carl, like around 400. I remember hearing that from you in the interview I did with you with Ice Planet 9000, which, by the way, How to Bottle a Star is coming out right now. Just got this bad boy in the mail, and super excited. Carl was nice enough. Check out this, like, we got to look at this kit bashing real quick. When you are a supporter of the Kickstarter for Ice Planet 9000, you get some like really cool shit. Look at this. So the CD was in here. Right now the CD's in the car, so it's just a, empty box, nothing in there, no drugs or anything. But yeah, really cool. If you haven't yet, definitely check out Ice Planet. This is Ice Planet shit we're doing tonight. Dark ambient, right? And then just a gate here just to keep everything under control. What's crazy is without this gate on, I don't know if you can really hear it. Let's see if I crank it up. Can you hear that? I think it's from the spin. It's like, and a little bit of analog noise coming in is like literally keeping that reverb going. I don't know if they'll make it through YouTube compression, but it's there. It's subtle. You could see it on the meter here. You could see there's actually about 40 decibels down, some noise going on. It's beautiful machine noise. Okay, so we've created our reverb, right? We've done the thing. Now, why don't we make some music? So let's start with a bass line, right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to start on the 30L, the Yamaha 30L, and I'm going to just pull up the MIDI here, and we can mess with this and kind of take this in a new direction. I don't usually do MIDI. I like playing things live, but for this example, I felt like we needed it. Thank you for dropping that link in the chat, Carl. This is the B section here. Let's grab the A section. Bring that in. Here we go. Oh, well, whatever. It's fine. Let's shrink it down. Now, the intro was super pretty. I want to go a little darker. I want to go a little bit more monstrous. So zooming into the MIDI here, let's create some more action. Now we could go plucky. We could also go more in the direction of maybe like a big reesier, boomier type thing. I'm thinking of like what Vangelis did for the track Blush Response, if you're familiar. So I'm going to just increase the delay, the decay times here. And currently I'm running that through Ria Insert. Let's just turn that on so I'm not hearing any latency. There we go. And let's increase some. So we've got 2 filters. So the beautiful thing about this synth is that we can move it to 1. And let's bring that down an octave. There we go. Bring the sustain in so we get the chew. And what we're listening to is just PWM. And we could bring back the... So we're getting that extreme resonance, right? But we're not using... not going to use a whole lot of envelope depth for this type of sound. Then, let's go to the second oscillator filter VCA combo we have going. So by bringing the resonance out, you can increase the EG depth. But we get that brightness without it being too ringy, so we can have the character, the dark character of the resonance, but a little bit of brightness and a little bit of, it's just the attitude problem. And then we put them together, right? Let's turn keyboard follow off on VCF1. So to me, that's a pretty cool synth sound to work with that we can use. So let's jump back over into the DAW. And what we're going to do, instead of what we had kind of before, I'm going to just come up with a whole new thing. I think that'll be better in this case. So, oh, it sounds so good, doesn't it? Let's go with... I like creating a rhythm real quick and just making sure I've got the timing right, because even though I've done this for 20 fucking years, it's amazing how hard it is for me to look at a MIDI screen here and realize, like, am I too fast or too slow or just right? Yeah, there we go. That'll be cool. So let's double that. And then let's... Fucking shit, that's awesome. Let's bring in some octaves here. We'll go double harmonic minor so that we have access to this note here. And then we'll kind of do the same thing here. Do this, and then we'll bring this up to... What is that? The fourth. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. I think this is what we're looking for. And we're going to bring this down. What is that? G sharp. There we go. Let's see how this riff sounds if we double it. Let's see what we get. With the drums too is important. Make sure it's grooving. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to bring... Let's see. Let's bring this note up on both of these. Oh god, it sounds so ferocious. I haven't used the word ferocious in a long time. Cheers, guys, to the darkness. Back to the synth real quick. Increase the detune. Increase the PWM to VCO2. Oh. Bring the decay time down. things like this makes it all worth it. All the money that's gone into this vintage synth library. Oh my god. Crazy. That should be illegal. It sounds so good. Now, let's jump in to another synth I really love, which is, let's go for the Kawai SX240. So I want to show you what I had before. Let me see if I did any EQ or anything. Nope, just a gate on there. Should be fun. So I'm going to route the SX240 over here to the reverb. And it sounds pretty loud right now, but let's see what it sounds like. So let me, doing a lot of swapping here between cameras. I'll try to get out of the way here. So I'll do a nice kneel down onto the ground so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. So I have a SX240 down here as the controller, but you can program this whole thing. So this is the sound we have from the beginning here. So now the reason I went with this is because of the ensemble. So if I actually turn that off, you can hear what this sounds like. And if you know about Vangelis, he had a VP330. And the VP330 has this beautiful ensemble effect. And I don't have a VP330, but this synth does that sort of sound really well if you turn the ensemble. So with it off and then on. Wrong thing, wrong button. Pretty good sci-fi effect. If you want a little air on top, you can get it with the resonance. This is an SSM synth. Sounds pretty good. If we want to take it down, we could move it into string. Oh yeah, that's very nice, isn't it? So for me, the SX240 is a bit like having a VP330-esque synth that you can program actually and use as a real 8-voice polysynth. It also works in dual mode like a Jupiter 8, where you can have two different patches stereo left and right, and you've got 4 voices each. That's the advantage of an 8-voice synth. The reason I'm not using it that way is A, the ensemble effect doesn't really sound that much wider when you do it that way, for whatever reason. And then B, there's just no way, I think even with the Tontec mod that I have in here, so this is a modified one, this synth will only accept MIDI on the upper channel. So if we were to send MIDI to it in dual mode, it would just be on like the left side. And that's just, you're stuck with that with an SX240. It's the only synth I have that's like that. Very few synths, I think, are from this era, even if they had bad MIDI or no MIDI at all, you usually can put either a mod or a kit in there and it'll sound awesome. You can use it and all sorts of great MIDI stuff. You know, I know Rob and Carl are way more into MIDI than I am. I'm pretty much like a note on, note off type of guy, but you can do all sorts of cool stuff with Tontec mods and Tubatech stuff. Not the SX240. This, you're just stuck. There's nothing you really get for it. So what I want to do is create, you know, a bit of a, oh, there's the reverb. I want to create a bit of a vibe, you know? So I'm going to just pull up some, I've got my, let's see, is this going to go through? Am I going to hear it? I don't think so. Input. Wait, that's right. Let's put my SX240 MIDI on. There we go. So now I can control it from over here. I like the actually this vibe. Let's see how it sounds over the bass line. I'm going to bring that bass line down a bit. Let's create some vibe over that. So I think that'll work fine. Kind of doing like a Angelo Badalamenti sort of vibe there. I'm thinking Mulholland Drive kind of has a riff like that. So we'll turn the Kawai off here, and then we'll use the insert. We'll just draw that in and make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So let's see here. So we'll go for E. Draw it in real quick here. And then we'll go for the... So this is what I was playing on the Leviathan. Just using the Leviathan as a controller. Let's see how long the... I can go kind of slow, actually. I think I can play it kind of halftime. It'll still be interesting. I think it's going to give it some movement here. So let's hear how this sounds. Ooh. That's wrong, but good. Falda McDoodle, yeah, definitely. What kick is that? So I'm actually using just a vanilla sample of a Lindrum for this one. So is this right? Should be B. I should start with B. Let's see here. Ah, I see. That's why. These are out. There we are. Like, what the hell? Oh, the vibes. Nice. So we could go to... say the JX10, we could go to that. That might be kind of cool. What if we octaves that? I think we might do that, actually. So let's go ahead and I'm going to turn the JX10 off for a second and then enable it over here. So I didn't actually have it on for the first one, but because we're kind of going in that direction, I'm thinking let's just follow the flow. Let's go ahead and go for it. So it's slightly off camera here. But let's just go ahead and, what is it, D3, we've got soundtrack, and let's see if I've got this set up correctly. I don't have it set up correctly. Okay, fuck the JX10, we're going to go with something else. You know what, we'll go with the Matrix 12. That's what we'll do. That's even better. So I want to show you this really cool sound that I came up with the Matrix 12. Let's route it to the reverb, since it's all about the reverb today. So I wanted to do a notch pad and let me just show you that real quick. Actually, this is what I started with, and then I'll show you where we ended up at. So if we're going for and I thought it sounded a little bright, so I ended up actually going with the notch and one pole low pass. So this gives us a different... And let's slow that attack down even further. So, I don't really think of even Oberheims when I think of Vangelis too much. It's not really what I think of. But what I will say is this sort of notchy filter type sound. Let's crank the resonance. Very Vangelis-y without being Vangelis-y. Like, what I mean to say is, I can't really think of any piece of music he's done that has that sound in it, but it's good. We're going to go for it. So, jumping back over to the DAW over here. Little Matrix 12, no big deal. Jumping back in here, let's take that same, but we're going to just bring it to the 12 and see what we get. See how it sounds. So we got kind of these two layers here. Actually, probably dial the Matrix 12 back quite a bit. Oh, it sounds good. I'm gonna turn it up a little too much. Hey, what's up, Dub? How you doing? Let's go back over here. I'm gonna try to bring the envelope depth down. Just see what we get if we get a little darker sound. We don't need quite the fizz. Right, we're just going for texture. It's kind of crazy. Oh, too much. Difference of a value or two. Bring it down a little more, There we go. So I just tried to shave the air off the top so we get the fatness without the insanity. Oh, sounds very beautiful. Okay. Yes. Always so much love for Dub Station Zero here. Wow, that's quite a good sound. Okay, so what else do we need? We need to get the let's get the Andromeda involved. So what do we have for the Andromeda? Well, before the stream, I was setting up a let's jump back over here. This type of sound. It shouldn't really surprise anybody, right? And the trick is just the balancing act of signal to resonance, right? I'm thinking maybe we go in this direction more now that we have this set up, you know? So still about 50% resonance. Oh, it's shaking the ground. And let's see if we go into pitch mode here. Unison X. Let's bring it down to 4 voices. And will that give me some polyphony? Yeah, so we can actually play some notes if we bring the amount of unison down. So now we're triggering only 4 voices of analog power with the Andromeda. So we've got four notes to play with. So we can do kind of like some sort of lead type thing over this riff, I'm thinking. Here we go. So let's open up some MIDI. And let's see what we get here. If I turn on the MIDI here and turn you off, I can noodle and just go with... It does sound like a virtual analog though, doesn't it? So we're in harmonic double minor. So we've got that chord. I think something like that might be kind of cool. So I'll turn that off and we'll go into the MIDI and see if we can do something like... So 16... Oh. Let's go with 16th notes. Zoom in real tight. And we're going to do something kind of plucky and fast. And then... Let's see what we think about something like this. And then... See how this vibes. And then, what would it be? Something like this. Just a quick little kind of techie stab type thing. Let's just try that one thing out real quick. I'm going to solo my voice in that and get that vibe right. Make sure that we're vibing with proper conditions here. First, let's get this riff figured out. Yeah, it's intimidating. Let's see. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, I can work with that. Now, let's have that not happen all the time, right? And then zoom out here. We're gonna copy and paste that, but on the next ones, we're gonna go and we'll go up and then yeah, something like that. And let's just copy and paste that now. And we have ourselves a little weird something. There we go. Yeah, see the vibe? Spooky. Let's go to the synth. Auto muted. There we go. That was the problem. Sorry about that. Had some sort of weird issue. I don't know. Interesting how the MIDI to this synth stutters for the first pass, unlike all of the vintage synths. Just get the decay right, you know. Bring the envelope amount down a little. Darker. let's modulate that. So if I go to the mod page, let's see here. It's fucking synth. Oh. Interesting. Let's go to envelope 2 amount and modulate that. I guess I just modulate this, right? Yeah, that's how we'll do it, I guess. Let's hope it out. Modulate that. LFO1. Bring the level way down. And then bring the rate of LFO1 way down. Let's see. Oh, that's really cool. Very neat. Oh yeah. Come on now. Come on, Andromeda. Very neat. Bandpass filter? Maybe even better. Low pass. You can't beat it. It's very nice. Bring that down a little bit. Let's see. Let's mix it. So we've got all of our drums up here. Cheers, guys. Let's bring up the reverb on that clap. It's Lysius. You could just ask me. Go ahead. I don't mind. I guess you could super chat or whatever, but just ask me whatever is cool. You know, I don't mind. And by the way, if I've missed anybody's questions or something, why don't we, if anybody else has a question, I'll try to answer them real quick, because I've been jumping around, you know, from the reverb unit to the synths. I do have my phone so I can kind of see the chat, but like when I'm way over by the Andromeda, I can't. Then I'm over here with the DAW. So yeah, go ahead and ask Lysius and dotted eighth delay. So the thing is, I do have a dotted eighth delay on the drums, but I don't have my usual dotted eighth delay is the RE501. And because I'm experiencing XLR poverty in the studio right now, I had to sacrifice that. As you'll notice, if we go back to the RE501, I had to borrow one of the XLR cables to go for it. So did I miss anybody? Did anybody have a question real quick they want to hit me with? Yeah, I wanted to go with the Lindrum because that's what Vangelis used, of course. But yes, as Carl's pointing out, I do sell drum sample. And here it is, Diodes and Rust. I think that's the link that he just put in the chat, which thank you as always for pimping me out, Carl. My vintage industrial drum sample pack is very good. I am drinking some Pathfinder and soda tonight. Alarock, absolutely. My buddy Ramiro at Severed Machines is actually selling an RE301, I think. So, okay, so I'm waiting to see Lysius if there's anything. If not, no, yeah, more synths than XLR cables. It's true. I don't really use XLRs as much because most of the synths use instrument cables. So my hogging of XLRs over the years has gone down from back when I was Porch Space. Did Vangelis record digitally? Certainly not going back to like 50s and 60s. And then I'm pretty sure if we were to go to like From Juno to Jupiter, I think is the name of his most recent record before he passed away. I would be surprised if that wasn't digital. So yes. So we got some vibes here. What do we want to jump in on next? I'm thinking, yeah, it's amazing how much money you can spend on stands and cables and rack mount enclosures and very silly things, fake plants. Yeah, I've heard about the Polara pedal. I listened to some demos of it actually before I bought the 300 Tracy, and I was unsure. Like, it's good. Hey, and by the way, guys, like, I've recently got a little bit of a reputation for saying the plugins don't sound as good as the hardware. But I have to say that Valhalla Future Verb, their most recent plugin that just came out, I did some tests with the 300, and I was like, if I had to sell the 300, I'd be happy with Future Verb. It's different than some other stuff. When it comes to the vintage synths, yes, there's some magic. There's some magic in this reverb unit for sure. I think we've coaxed it out of it, but it's not, when you consider how much a vintage Lexicon costs as opposed to a $50 plugin, it's very good. Yo, what's up, Taryn Gray? How's it going? Yeah, Valhalla is particularly good, and it's a small developer. So I love giving my money to a small developer, somebody who's either a single guy or a small team of guys and gals who are working to put out a product that's affordable. I mean, Valhalla and Tal, I feel, were the two plugin manufacturers that were like, you know what? Fuck Waves. Fuck what they're doing, charging thousands of dollars for plugins. We're going to put out plugins for like $50, and we're not going to worry about DRM and all of that. So I really appreciate them. Anyways, that's enough of that rant there. So we've got, what else are we not using? So we have the 70M and, the Juno 6. We should bring in the Juno 6. That's what we should work on. So we're going to go back over here, and I'm going to do myself a favor and just pull this little stool over. Everybody loves a good stool. Sorry that I can't get a little bit more zoomed in on some of these. I suppose I could go over to that. Let's check out what we have for the Juno 6 here. So, Vangelis probably used a Juno 6 or 60 on the Blade Runner soundtrack. And if we turn the arpeggio on and put it up and down, we can kind of get this sort of sound. Sort of analog bell type thing. And I think the way, all I'm really doing here is we've got a sub oscillator and we have a square wave up an octave. So really just two square waves. And that's, if we add PWM, it stops having this sound. It sounds good. High pass filter, we can bring that out. The resonance helps, high pass filter helps to give it that, glassier. We just don't need much low end for something like this glassy. Of course, we have the chorus without the chorus. It's kind of nice in its own way, isn't it? We could pan it left and right, and get some good sounds out of it. Chorus on. Yeah, I'm never going to say no to the chorus, right? Now, if we turn arpeggio off, I was using it before for the intro track, but now we could maybe do some sort of we could get some really sort of, how would I say it, almost like wind chimey type sounds, you know, because that's when I think of the Blade Runner soundtrack, I absolutely think of that type of a thing. And not that I'm really focused on Blade Runner, it's just kind of fun. You get a Lexicon unit, what do? You go straight for those types of sounds. So let's put let's get some MIDI going here. And I'm actually going to make sure nothing else is recording. Make sure record disable here so that I can record just what I'm playing. Yeah. So I'm going to play some little wind chimey type stuff, you know. And then let's actually record this. It's little sounds here. Exactly the vibe I want to go for. Maybe not that direction. Maybe let's try drawing something in instead. I think that might be more the direction we want to go. And let's see what we get here. Oh, I was not monitoring it correctly too. That's why it was hard to play in time. Maybe even just using that like it's a little hit. So like little one of these. Back to the synth. Let's just get this more interesting. Resonance down. Ooh, maybe we go dark with it. Oh yeah. Thank you, Doug, for that beautiful Roland emoji spam. Ooh, dark resonance. Oh yeah, dark resonance. Oh yeah, fuck. We're gonna do the same trick we did on the Andromeda with the LFO. Really slow LFO. Create some movement to the sound. Oh shit, motherfucker. Let's see, high pass filter out. Ah, I liked it in. It was good. Noise? Noise might be good. Okay. Ooh, nice and kind of spooky, you know. It's not. It's cute, but it's not super cute. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a little intimidating. So let's pull up the 30 finally, and let's vibe on top of that. So going back over here. Let's talk about the sound real quick. So I actually found for this, I needed a pretty fast sound. Let's make sure that I have, that's the 30. I want to turn the RIA insert off. Let's turn you on here. Yeah, let's see here. If we add some attack to it, start to get more Blade Runner brass type of a thing again. There we go. Now, I'm not going to bore you with that shit. I'm sure you've all heard it 1 bajillion times. Instead, let's put it into a fifth here. Let's do a fifth. So now we can get kind of some soundtracky type sounds. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we'll just leave it in here. Leave it in how it was before. Little brilliance down too helps give it a little more. And mine, of course, has been modified by Severed Machines to have aftertouch to brilliance, which is brilliant on this synth. It really is great. So that's how you could do that type of sound. But like, okay. For me, it's pretty boring. We've all heard this before. So why don't we take it someplace new? Let's go to a high pass filter instead here. And let's see if we can get some sort of... Now, I think you guys have probably heard me do this trick before. I'm going to route the LFO to the amplifier 1 and 2. And then this LFO is dynamic, meaning that you can use an envelope to shape the rate. So with the EG depth all the way down, it's just working, it's doing this sort of a thing. But really the trick is to dial that back a little bit. So it's not too crazy. And then what we do is increase the envelope depth. Into a sort of a territory that you couldn't go otherwise with this synthesizer. Yeah, you can't do this type of thing with an 80. You could take the 80 pretty far, but this is a special synth. You'll notice the lack of calibration here. There's often one voice that just never quite that doesn't go away always. That's okay though. I don't lose any sleep over it. It's fine. You can cut it out. I need to get this retouched up by Ramiro, but it's okay. So if we play a I'm trying to remember to step out of the way so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here, but if I'm really not doing a great job of that, I apologize. So this is, this is one of my favorite types of sounds, maybe disadvantage of this synthesizer as compared to the 80 is we don't have a high pass filter. So we have a high pass filter, but once we're there, we've sort of like lost our low end. So if we're worried about like too much low end, we could bring the brilliance up and just use. There's so much resonance on the high pass filter though, it's definitely sort of is giving so much low end. So anyways, let's see how that could work maybe in the track now that we have that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the MIDI on here. And again, let's just see what we get. I'm actually going to record what we've got here and, you know, see if we get something cool that we could use. So I'm going to start here. And then we'll see what I could do. Putting the pitch wheel into octaves. of fun. Yeah, Adapt. I definitely you know, the drums are sort of they're more pulled back. I mean, most of Vangelis' music's pretty pulled back when it comes to the drums. I love the Scum family too. Thank you for being part of it, Mom. It's really great. That was all fun, but not really what I'm going for. So let's try. Maybe we will program something in. Let's see. Where did I hide that bad boy? Here it is. Here we go. And we'll mute you. And we'll just see what we could get if I drew some stuff in, maybe. Because I think we need a little bit of structure for this. Maybe we'll go for octaves, but we'll go for, you know, the octaves that we were playing with the strings. Let's just see how that sounds real quick. Such a great, like, Transformers type sound. If we're doing the octave, and I don't think we need too much, so let's skip the octave. And I think it actually kind of went like this. Let's get rid of that. And then up 2 octaves or so. And then we'll bring in the bring in this. See how that sounds. And we might adjust the envelope times and stuff. another free plugin from Cable Guys called Pancake. Really great way to give yourself a little of that action, little panning. I'm going to add a Pro G here real quick, just to get rid of the worst of that. There we go. Just put it right above that. Right there. And I'll add release. Boom. Enough. There we go. And the range can be 100. And now we have like a nice little panning sort of sound to that. And let's see. That's kind of like a lead. So let's see what we got so far. Just get rid of the Andromeda. Juno's really cool, isn't it? Andromeda's really cool. Oh, it sounds so good. I'm actually going to send more to the reverb. Oh my god, it's so good. I just gotta know. Let's go to time. Let's put it up to 64 seconds. Let's just, let's clear the buffer. And now 64 seconds. Let's see what we get. Let's see how it goes. That's right, Tracy. So just have MIDI files. So each time we're hearing the MIDI playback live. So you could start to hear that weird machine noise sound creeping in there. Echo Wike, welcome. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the time, it's a little too much, but it's fun. I think 31's a beautiful time. A more realistic time for like a hall is like 12 seconds, right? That's what you would normally go for. And I think that could probably sound cool too. Let's just play this last little bit here. Echo, I think it sounds very, very good. I think people come to vintage gear for different reasons. Some people believe fetishistically and religiously that the older stuff is better than the new stuff. And I am not one of those people. I don't see any reason that the greatest synth or piece of hardware ever made isn't coming out tomorrow, right? But what I do like about vintage gear is that it sounds fucking weird a lot of the times. It's got limitations, it's got character, because all of this gear was coming out under enormous economic pressure. For its time, all of this gear was way more expensive than what we're used to paying for today. And the technology was really expensive. So the costs were high for the customer and the costs were high for the company. Lizzie has asked, first message got lost above. Wanted to ask about programmers for the Matrix. What are your thoughts on Access? Why did you pick the OB Magic overall? So we're talking about the Matrix 6, right? I didn't pick the programmer I had. I bought it with the synth when I got it from a venomous snake milker down in Miami, which was a crazy story in and of itself. But I think the Access one's probably great. I don't have any hands-on experience with it, so I'm a little hesitant to tell you it's the way to go. But for me, yeah, it's probably good. I don't think any of the Matrix programmers, however, really handle modulation destinations really well. So if there was one, whether it's stereopping, Access, whatever, that handled the modulation destinations, that's the one I'd recommend, and I don't know which it is. I've been threatening to do a Matrix 6 tutorial for a long time now. I think some of y'all have already heard the story that I accidentally deleted hours of that tutorial off of my computer when I was clearing space, and proceeded to get blacked out on mezcal because of the grief of losing all of that hard work. But that's part of what happens sometimes as a content creator. And so, yeah, thank you very much for your donation earlier. No, I didn't get any snake milk with the synth, but it was pretty crazy. But I mean, to sort of answer the question, if I did or didn't, I think, let's see. I made a scuffed table comparison in Excel with help of AI off of layouts and manuals. All told me OB Magic X can do some matrix modulation, so I'm glad you told me this. I can link it. Yeah, I don't think it can. And I hate to tell you this. You probably already know this, but AI is not good with vintage synths and things, because so much of vintage synths are photocopies on the internet and hearsay and what people say in forums like Gear Sluts and stuff like that, which is none of it's reputable. So it's not, I'm not trying to say it's AI's fault. It's just you can't always trust what it thinks. It does better with modern stuff, like if you're looking up modern synths or something, because that info is out there and it's been crawled through by Google and everybody else. So I think this is a great place to call it for tonight. I hope you guys had fun. I certainly did. If you want to go with a hardware option, the thing is it's not hard to set up modulation destinations on the Matrix 6 itself, or a 6R. Matrix 1000 might be difficult, so it depends on what you got. But I would say that one of these days I'll have the editor video up, and that'll be a good thing, because the Matrix 6, 6R, 1000, they're all great. So really good. And I hope you guys had fun with this one, because it was fun for me. Kind of a different format once again, still making music, but this time doing so in a different sort of way, using a bunch of synths and focusing more on the gear, the hardware. It sounds good, right? Am I crazy? To me, it sounds pretty decent. I know Carl's, I mean, like, Noise Engineering makes some really cool reverb stuff, and I think you can get it in plugin form too. I would have to look real quick, Lysias. I would say if you have 1,000, just keep that for now. You can get a 6 or a 6R. I would get a 6 or a 6R if you could get it for 1,400 for the keyboard or under. If you could get it for like 1,100, that would be beautiful. But it depends. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the Lexicon cam and let's blast off with what we got here and see how the vibes go. I think I am going to put it back up to 60 just so we get a really nice long tail. That is not the thing I was looking for. Time. An ever-flowing river. So, continue to be excellent, guys, and have a wonderful week, okay?